I decided to bring out the Canadian bacon as well. So I have the dilly beans, which we're going to do first.
Okay.
And then we have the Canadian bacon.
Okay. The Canadian bacon, by the way, must take all of 30 seconds to rehydrate. It's amazing. It's very cool.
Irene makes some really good dilly beans. For those of you who don't know what they are, they're a green bean that's been pickled, dill pickled. And I tell people you seldom improve the quality of food by freeze drying it, freezing it, or doing any kind of preservation technique. But I'll tell you what, these were pretty much at the end of when I could use them on the shelf. And I decided, well, I'm just going to go ahead and freeze dry them. Delicious.
Now they're a crunchy thing that he can munch. He just got vinegar.
I did.
So I think you're going to need 3 bags. What do you think?
Okay.
I think you'd be better off with more. One of the things that we have to look at when we're traveling is once you've opened this stuff up, depending on where you are, say we're driving through Missouri and it's raining outside, the amount of moisture in the environment is high. So we try to, and even though we would close it the same way as you would close a bag of chips or anything else, anybody who's ever closed a bag of chips and not gotten it quite sealed knows that the next time you go to use those chips, you might find that they're a little on the snoggy side, which is never a wonderful moment. What I'm doing is I'm carefully smushing the bottom without crushing the beans. Like I shake it down. You could throw one or two more, just 1 or 2 in here. Plunk. And if we're doing something really picky, like a specific type of dinner, we sometimes weigh the stuff. Some people weigh all of their packages because it's an easy way to double check your products. Say 3 years later, you're like, oh, did this work? You know, did it hold its seal and all that kind of stuff? And you can weigh it, and if it's gained weight, no, it didn't. It leaked somehow. One of the reasons you need to be careful about what you store your stuff in is the bags that we would use for vacuum sealing do not keep out oxygen. Therefore, they don't work with vacuum sealed items other than for super short term.
And the very first batch of food that I put in the freeze dryer, we tried packaging up several different ways. We received some Mylar bags from Harvest Right with the initial machine. Mm-hmm. So we tried putting some food in those, mm-hmm. and then we tried several different kinds of seal-a-meal bags, food saver bags, and they work okay for a week or two. Mm-hmm. But one of the problems with a lot of freeze-dried food,
it's crunchy and prickly, and it pokes holes in bags.
And that's exactly what happened. We had holes appear in an unacceptably large amount of the bags.
And the same is true of buying cheap Mylar. You have to buy quality Mylar. We use 7mm Mylars because sometimes it'll look like there's a hole that's been poked in it, but very rarely is there actually a hole. What has happened is that the metallic coating on it has gotten scraped off. So it looks like there's a hole, but it's not actually leaking air.
Or it stretches.
Right. And yeah, some of this will crunch, but the little crunchy pieces also rehydrate beautifully. And if we were really super concerned about trying to make this restaurant ready, we would use larger bags. all I'm doing is trying to reduce the amount of oxygen right now that the Canadian bacon is being exposed to. Gonna need one more bag?
Yes.
I put the wrong date on that. One of the reasons we like to do exact dates rather than just say, oh, we did this in September or we did on, is different batches. And if you were to discover there was a problem with a batch, whether it was unsanitary in some way, whether it somehow did not get dried enough, whether it just was a little overspiced and you knew that you had to make sure you served it with rice or something like that, we want to be able to track down exactly what's gone on easily. And you can get as fussy or as not fussy as you want to with your record keeping. We don't keep as fancy a records as some people do. For instance, we don't normally weigh the finished bags, and some people do. If you're concerned about a product, whether it's going to hold, make sure you weigh the bag and write it on here. Then when you weigh it 6 months later, you know exactly what's been going on. Okay, next process is I'm going to be putting in oxygen absorbers. Now, here's my oxygen absorbers that are open. And this is a vacuum sealed mason jar. And I took the little piece of paper that comes in the bags with these, so I know that this is a specific batch, a specific from location, and all that kind of stuff. So if I suddenly had problems with them, I'd be able to track that. And I also know that this is a 100 cc oxygen absorber. So I know instantly how many I'm going to use. One in each?
One in each.
Okay. Now the minute I pop this, I'm exposing my stuff to oxygen. You'll see me put the lid on because that way it's still reducing stuff. Do pull these out when you go to rehydrate. If you mess up and accidentally leave them in, they're not toxic. You just yank them out. And it says do not microwave on them because they contain iron. And as you know, microwaves don't like metal. So, and you wouldn't be microwaving your Mylar anyway. That's why we carry a couple of Pyrex things with us for travel, so that we can easily boil water in a microwave. Do not use the coffee maker in a hotel room to boil your water unless you like everything coffee flavored, because most coffee makers, unless you have a very high end one, all the water goes through the area where it handles the coffee. Therefore, your food is going to taste like coffee. And although it'll produce the water very quickly, it'll also make everything taste like coffee. And while there are some things that would be okay with that, generally speaking, I don't want coffee flavored green beans or coffee flavored broccoli or rice or any of that sort of stuff. So that's a no-go. And the things that we eat for lunch while we're on the road are things that can be rehydrated with cold water. So that is rehydrated with bottled water, never tap water. I don't trust the tap water when I travel. We always use bottled water, and yes, I know there are issues with bottled water too, but if you're using a reputable brand, you are less likely to have issues other than particulates of plastic, which is something we really can't avoid at this point.
I'm double sealing every one of these Mylar bags. When I say double sealing, I seal first from one side, then I flip the bag over and seal again. It's one of the issues you have when you're packaging freeze-dried food is whether or not you have the seal good enough. One of the things that we do is we leave these Mylar bags out on our countertop overnight, so we can look to see whether or not the oxygen absorbers have actually been working. These will suck the bag down.
Now, it doesn't suck it down tight like a vacuum sealer would usually, but you can tell that there's been a reduction in volume. Only a very small percentage of the air is actually oxygen. There are people who have developed rather elaborate systems to vacuum seal their Mylar bags. That's not on my list of things to worry about. Okay, now I'm going to make noise for a second here because I'm going to vacuum seal this because I want to remove the air. Okay, what I just did was vacuum sealed my jar. I'm going to put the piece of paper back on top that gives me the information about the oxygen absorbers that are in there. And then I'm going to screw the ring on because that's holding this information on. Then this simply goes back in the box that goes onto the shelf that says oxygen absorbers.
Now, why do we use a ring when we don't use a ring when we just do our normal pressure canning?
To hold the paper information. I don't want to throw the paper inside, and it's also providing a secondary hold in the sense that if for some reason this were to lose its integrity slightly, I'm not worried about sanitation. I just don't want to, I want to keep as much air out of there as possible. But mostly I just do it to hold on the piece of paper because that lets me know that exactly what's in there. But we've forgotten to pull them out plenty of times and rehydrated the food and then went, oh, left this in and then pulled it out. It doesn't hurt anything, it's just an iron. It's just it's got paper and stuff, so we don't want to eat paper.
All done.
All done. So these will stay on the countertop overnight. We'll watch to see if we see any reduction in volume to let us know that the oxygen absorbers have worked correctly. We're going to stash all the bits and pieces away that we've used to do this. We have a spot on the shelf. Everything lines right up so you can find it. Part of this is organization, just knowing where your stuff is so that it's not a dramatic. I mean, the first time we did that, it seemed like we were running around like chickens because
We were.
I mean, you oh, we need this, oh, we need that, oh, we need the other thing. Now we know where everything is. Like for this, we didn't need any special spatulas or anything. Sometimes for certain things, you're scraping stuff out. So we have spatulas in a drawer right here that can be used for that.
Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting. It certainly was well, not too long. We did about half an hour worth of actual work.
Yeah.
We have all this food packaged up. We have 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. We have 15 Mylar bags of food that's all packaged up. We'll put them in a tote tomorrow, and we'll have them for when we travel.
Right.
Or when we're here at home.
Right. We have not used much at home simply because we also have canned versions of some of this food.
So we eat the cans
we
first.
keep on the and of course those are jars, but they're sitting on the shelf. We didn't want to have to. We did carry canned food with us for years, and you break jars, and the dishwasher gets his hand cut on a jagged jar, has to go to first aid. I mean, just the drama that and water at some locations is limited, so it just makes it so easy. And like 1 million pounds lighter.
Really. Time to say goodbye, Irene.
Yeah. So until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because obviously we're going to be doing tons more. So until next time, bye.
Bye. Hey, keep brainstorming.
Yeah, we definitely do.